excited. Lovely. Apple staff are rebelling against plans to return to the office, arguing it would make the US tech titan whiter and more male-dominated.
In the morning time it's cold, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't believe it. It's very odd.
But sometimes it's very hot. But I don't know. The weather keeps on changing.
Also, Israel's Mossad spy agency has said it's prevented 3 assassinations in Europe by Iranian operatives. I can't believe it's all going on. It's all going on around the world, isn't it? Everything is taking place today. And a lovely piece by Sophia Money-Coots writing about Prince Harry in Santa Barbara. And she says, sorry, Harry.
In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Bath Road, A4.
Sport of kings, they say, don't they? You've got to have a fleet of polo ponies and, let's face it, a misspent youth like Harry. You know, I mean, he doesn't really do anything, doesn't really have anything to do at the moment. You thought they'd have moved into a place where they've got some friends, but they don't appear to have any friends at the moment. A little bit lacking.
Turn right onto Bath Road, A4.
Keir Starmer yesterday refused to say he would cooperate with any new police probe into his new alleged lockdown-breaking beer and curry bash. I mean, this whole thing has just got so out of hand. It's so ridiculous. The Labour leader stonewalled a series of questions. In other words, I'm not saying a word. But you think, come on, did you have beer and curry for 30 people? Because they took pictures of it, and they said it was going to you, and you either don't know, or you choose not to tell us. It was a bit the other day, wasn't it, when we were trying to find out
Today's
where
gonna
the
be lovely
chicken comes from.
isn't
And I
it?
used
To
to
sleep.
the shop, and they
You know
wouldn't
Burham
say.
Station, is
They
it that
didn't want to
side?
tell you where
No.
their chicken came
If you go
from.
that,
And I was thinking,
you know,
why do
we'll
want to
take a
tell us where
lift
the chicken comes
from there,
Some
isn't
big
it?
secret?
Okay, yeah.
Instead
They're
of
coming
taking,
from
if you
a
go
place
right
where
and
they
if
don't
you
look
walk
after their
like 5
chickens
minutes,
properly.
Burham
you'll get
Sure
there.
we're getting all the best stuff.
Even doesn't take 5 minutes,
And
maybe
for
2 minutes.
countdown. No, Brian, absolutely not Anne Hegarty. No, she's fine
we take the
where she
lift,
is
first
on
lift
the
over there.
chase, I think.
You're supposed to go right.
Ian says, I've just stopped at Brookwood train station. There's an impressive military cemetery with Brookwood Cemetery. It's immaculate. Oh, it's in a huge place. It runs for acres and acres and acres and acres of all these Victorian graves, some of them beautiful. Really, I mean, they knew how to honour the dead, I think, and there's a Jewish cemetery there and a military cemetery. But quite a place to go to if you're on a day out. Lags have told Boris Becker he should dye his hair if he wants to keep a low profile. What's that got to do with it? What has that got to do with it? It was interesting. The other day they were doing a piece on somebody who'd been sent to prison.
Continue on Bath Road for 3/4 of a mile.
Something where it involved a pensioner. Anyway, the prisoners decided to throw boiling water over him. And so he got taken to hospital to have all the burns sorted out. And I remember telling you, when I went into hospital for my burns, there were 2 people who'd come in, and I was in bed with the curtains round it, waiting to go in for the operation. And I could hear this bloke talking, and it turns out that he was sitting with 2 other people, but he was handcuffed to them. Because in this particular burns unit, in the Westminster and Chelsea Hospital, they get a lot of people from the prisons who've been attacked with boiling water. And so that's how prisoners meet out their thing, because they can't do anything else.
How people can attack from the boiler water?
And he was talking about
That's what they do. They just throw hot water in the face.
And I sort of peered out through my little curtain to see what was going on.
You know, in the prison, the kettle. You know, in the kettle.
Okay.
Yeah, he's talking about in prison what they do to each other.
The victim's supposed to be standing nearby the boiler
Yeah.
water. Otherwise, you can't carry and.
No, he's in the kettle. He's in the kettle.
Yeah, okay.
So just throw it in his face when you walk past your cell. Just throw it in his face.
That was not the best. I thought it was very painful.
Lots of stupid stuff.
Apparently Graham in Essendon says stinking bishop doesn't taste as bad as it smells. It's this shark thing. That doesn't work at all for me. I couldn't quite get my head around that. Not very nice at all. But sadly we have no more time, so it's been lovely being with you this Tuesday, May the 3rd.
In a quarter of a mile, at Huntercombe Roundabout, take the first exit onto Huntercombe Spur heading to M4, London.
Episode to download every single day, exclusively on the Global Player app. So I have 2 podcasts. The Little Bit Extra podcast, and then the whole show, which will be available very, very shortly as well. So please download them. Just go to lbc.co.uk, download the Global Player app, and then you can download and listen to LBC throughout the world for free, which is fantastic. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 4 till 7 for Steve Allen's Early Breakfast. Coming up at 10 this morning, it's James O'Brien, but right now, and a welcome return for the Tuesday breakfast to Nick Ferrari.
Thanks, Steve. At 7 o'clock on Tuesday, May the 7th, Russia seems to be getting more desperate. A nuclear explosion to try and trigger a tidal wave for the UK. Oh, and this extraordinary claim from Sergei Lavrov.
nations, so it does not mean anything. The biggest anti-Semites were Jewish.
That's right, you heard it. The biggest anti-Semites are Jewish. We'll look at that in more detail. Meanwhile, it's coming back, the sale of the century. We go back to the 70s, Margaret Thatcher.
Exit the roundabout onto Huntercombe Spur.
Can expect help from a Conservative government. It won't be cheap, but it's a question of where you spend government money.
Roll up and get ready to buy your housing association house. In other news, murder by the cathedral.
Police are searching for a killer after a man was stabbed to death near St. Paul.
Keep left at the fork.
BBC's Rachel Venables in the City of London.
Plus, teaching today's kids a lesson. The suggestion to bring back grammar schools. Those stories and more.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 7 o'clock, Boris Johnson will salute the resistance of the Ukrainian people when he addresses the country's parliament in Kiev later. The Prime Minister will make a speech by video link, the first foreign leader to do so since Russia's invasion began. More from LBC's James Goodison.
This speech will draw on Churchill. He's going to be using the phrase finest hour, of course, one of Churchill's most famous lines. He'll also say that the UK is proud to be among their friends. He's not going empty-handed either. £300 million military aid packages, including things like electronic warfare equipment, a counter-battery radar system, GPS jamming equipment and night vision devices.
The US Supreme Court could be about to overturn a landmark case that legalized abortion across America. Media company Politico says it's seen a leaked draft opinion showing a majority of justices would back reversing the 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling. The reports have sparked protests outside the court in Washington.
I absolutely have to be out here because this is something that affects me so personally and hurts so much to know that his might be ripped away from me.
The unborn are human, and we've been killing them in mass to the tune of millions. And so I have no words.
2 people have been arrested on suspicion of a murder at Lakeside Shopping Centre in Essex. A man in his 30s died after reports of a serious assault on Thursday afternoon. Climate campaigners are blockading an oil terminal in Glasgow. It's the first time the group Just Stop Oil has targeted Scotland. There have been more than 1,000 arrests after similar recent protests in and around London.
Trees flowering.
Very, very nice.
Cancer in unborn babies
Summer's coming.
is being rolled out across the NHS. The test picks up cases of retinoblastoma and is likely to identify around 50 cases each year in England. It'll be offered to pregnant women with a known family history of the disease. Ronnie O'Sullivan has equalled Stephen Hendry's record after winning the World Snooker Championship for the 7th time. He beat Judd Trump 18-13 in the final at the Crucible, and at 46 is also the oldest player to win the title. In the city, the FTSE 100 will reopen at 75.44 after closing up 35 points on Friday, and the pound buys $1.25 and €1.19. LBC weather, cloudy for many with some scattered showers, a few bright
The
spells
dollar's
too.
gone very shit now.
17 degrees.
All the currency in general, since the war started, all the currency gone rubbish.
The US is always powerful. I don't know why the US currency is going up and up and up. You see the Japan currency is going straight down. The US currency is taking over everybody else, every countries. Even the pound is 124.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes, mate, line 3. You might want to crack on, Mr. Noah. The forecast rain this evening.
have you had your Weetabix? This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Good morning, 3 minutes after 7 on Tuesday, May the 13th. An extraordinary series of claims from Russia concerning war in the Ukraine, and over here, possibility of increased defence spending. Would you tick the box for that? Spend more money on defence? Bear in mind,
you know, in a council house.
Yeah.
If you lived in the house for more than 10 years,
Yeah.
they tell you can buy the house. And they'll take away the 10 years rent you pay. So for example, if the house is 250,000,
Yeah.
they'll take away 120,000. And they say to give us another 130 and the house is yours.
Wow.
But you have to live in the house for 10 years first and pay rent. But then they'll take away the money.
And they don't give a house at the beginning, and
No. Like my sister, she done it. She lived in the house 15 years.
Yeah.
After 15 years, she buy the house. So they give her a discount. And then every year she give money.
Yeah.
After 5 years, they say to her, the house is yours.
Particularly as many dentists quit the NHS.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
Apologies for that. I'm told that the clip we played did not mention Madeleine McCann, as of course new headlines emerge about the man possibly involved in that. We will record that it's 15 years since that story first broke, but that's later in
when
the
winter
show.
comes, everything looks like, you know, they're dead. But when the
As soon as the sun comes out, yeah, it's
it's
alive.
like everything is green, and we are inside. We're sitting, look like inside the forest or something like that.
Jewish people who are anti-Semitic, yes, you did hear that correctly. That's to say it in Avro. And also the idea that they would trigger some kind of
The air here is more fresh because in the city inside London, bro, you know, like too many cars, traffic, everywhere is car. This village now, it looks so nice and small where we come from now. Not too many cars, it's slow, it's like a small village, but now you're going to go in the middle of London.
Years. That's the verdict of Tyson, the Conservative chairman of the Defence Select Committee. Now, at the moment, the UK is one of the few NATO members that actually honours its commitment to spend 2% of GDP on defence. But Mr. Elwood wants the Chancellor to commit to spending 3% of GDP on defence. In real terms, that's at least another £20 billion. In a speech last week, Foreign Secretary Liz Truss suggested that she was sympathetic to greater support for Ukraine.
We're working on a joint commission with Poland to ensure Ukraine is equipped with NATO standard weapons. And it's why we're determined to work with the US, with the EU.
From that stop, you can get a frequent bus to
Yeah,
you know, like
of course,
within maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Or
Yeah, it's no problem, man. You saved me a big journey, bro.
Cities, regenerate their industries, and secure their freedom for the long term. We're doubling down. We will keep going further and faster to push Russia out of the whole.
If you take a bus, it will take a long hour to go.
Of course, especially after 12 hours.
Even the coming in a train, if you take a bus to Slough and from Slough, either if you take a train from Slough to Burnham, it will be more easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna come
Slough. Maybe you can come to Slough.
Harlington bus station.
Yeah.
The train station. I'm gonna go on the train, and then I'm gonna take it to here, Burnham station.
Yeah.
And then from there, you said to me, from the station is 10 minutes walk, right?
Yeah. it's
Perfect.
not far
Yeah.
away.
From there, I'll go on my phone to walking, and I should be there. You know what I mean? Because today I take 2 buses and I still walk 18 minutes. It doesn't make no sense to me.
For some time we have heard from the wise Jewish people that the biggest anti-Semites were Jewish.
President Zelensky hit back.
Russia's foreign minister openly and without hesitation said that the biggest anti-Semites were allegedly among the Jews themselves, and that Hitler allegedly had Jewish
Especially the
blood.
weekdays, this
Such an
M25.
anti-Semitic attack by the minister
They always
means that
queuing
Russian
up.
authorities have forgotten all the lessons of World War II, or maybe they never learned those
Everyone wants the
And
M1
the
North.
suggestion from Kremlin propagandist Nick is that
That's the
Russia could
M25.
launch a nuclear
Okay.
missile into the North Sea that would create a 500-meter high tidal wave, nuclear tidal wave that would swamp.
But that will lead them onto the M1, right? The M25.
Yeah, many places like M1,
Okay.
others M23.
Telling the country's MPs that its war with Russia has been its finest hour.
Theo Usherwood reporting. Are you ready to spend more on defence? Let's pick up, and there are a lot of aspects actually from Theo's report to pick up. But let's go first for spending and turn to Vice Marshal Sean Bell, who is retired from the military but is now an advisor at Universal Defence and Security Solutions, a global defence consultancy. Thank you for coming on, sir. Do you think simply more cash will solve the problem? Good morning.
You take your M3 as well.
The short answer is no.
M40.
You'd imagine as a military guy, we obviously want to spend as much as we could on defence.
First you need to go to M25, then whenever you want to exit the junction.
To know that we always have to compromise. I mean,
It looks like we are M4, so
politician, but we've got the biggest national deficit we've ever had in a lifetime. NHS backlogs, welfare within our European partners, we do spend about 2% of GDP on NATO, and I think what the bigger message is that the way defence planning is done, we should be spending our money smarter. We've always had the number one priority in defence is defence of the homeland, and I suspect that many Western powers have been relatively complacent about that, because since World War II we haven't really felt threatened, and therefore we've focused our military on wars of choice overseas, whether it's Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever. Whereas if we look more closely at what our national interests are and where our defence assumptions lie, I think that will liberate a very different priority around defence spending.
Do you sense, as some military experts I was reading on the weekend do, with a heavy heart, that this is not going to be over quickly? We could be looking at months and months of this war.
Well, the trouble is, if we could get inside Putin's brain, we could answer that question objectively. The reality of this is that if Putin still retains the ambition to take the whole of Ukraine, then he will only be able to do that in bite-sized portions, and it will take years, and it will be bloody, and it will be messy, but the West will get dragged further and further in. I think far more likely, if you look at it objectively, he's probably ended up with about a quarter of his fighting force degraded now, and he's day-to-day does not appear to be making huge inroads into the Donbass. I suspect Putin, expecting Ukraine to roll over, has been surprised at the resistance, is fearful now of the huge quantities of Western technology and weapons pouring into the country, and that's why he's making lots of threats. And it looks more likely, I suspect, that he will consolidate the Donbass, the bridge through Mariupol down to the Crimea, and probably look to negotiate then. But I think, as we've opined before, even if he does that, how on earth will President Zelensky take any form of security guarantees from Putin, given he's invaded the country twice over the last 8 years?
Lastly, making lots of threats, I would suggest lots of spurious claims referring to Adolf Hitler's Jewish background. Jewish people are actually anti-Semitic, and they want to trigger Poseidon, a sort of tidal wave across the UK.
Yeah, I think the danger is in the West we leap on these little sort of examples because everybody's paranoid about a nuclear weapon, and therefore exactly how it's used is awful. The reality of this is that I can't find any.
Now I know exactly where I am.
In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Know it, and Putin's got nothing to gain by that. What I think we're seeing is Putin on the rocks. It's not going.
I don't know why they say Slough is outside London. You know what I mean? It is outside London technically, but it's literally a few minutes down the road on the motorway.
Is it Slough is out of London?
Of course, yeah.
No, in the TfL, it's
not TfL.
No,
the 81 is TfL. You know the 81? The 81 next to Heathrow, the 81 bus to Slough is TfL.
Oh, I was thinking Southall, sorry.
Oh, no. Southall's London. No. Slough is definitely not London because...
No, it's not London.
Yeah.
But they want to cover they're making 7 or 8 June.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. I was just thinking of Southall because since morning we're talking about.
Yeah. No, Southall's close to me. Southall's close to me.
Security at Chatham House. Well, you're an expert in the field, Doctor. When you hear, and it seems to be more frequent now, Russia talk about whatever it might be as regards nuclear, how nervous do you get? Good morning.
Good morning. I don't get nervous, but I do get really angry with President Putin for doing this, because this is a direct threat. And he's doing it in order to terrify the population and put pressure on our governments to capitulate and to give in by using this direct threat. It's almost undoubtedly a hollow threat, an empty threat. But of course, because he is behaving in such a madman-like way, it can't be ruled out completely. And that's what he knows. He knows that we are frightened by it. And so that's why he's doing it.
Clearly.
So if we were not frightened by it, he wouldn't be doing it.
Indeed.
But it is a frightening weapon. This new submarine, it's a sort of drone submarine, if you like. It's only sort of just been tested and getting ready for deployment, but it doesn't have nuclear weapons on it at the moment, as far as I can see from all of the research that I've been reading.
Pardon my ignorance. Were Moscow to launch a nuclear strike on the United Kingdom, how long does it take for the missiles to get here?
tens of minutes, you know.
Tens of, so like 20, 30.
Tens of minutes, depending where they're fired from.
And can they be countered? Can they be can they be attacked in midair or whatever it was?
Theoretically, the US has been trying to develop a missile defense capability, but the UK doesn't have such a capability for these types of missiles.
So is there any missile that could intercept currently on UK soil from the United States Air Force, or we have nothing here at all?
No, because these are ballistic missiles. They travel at very high speeds. They're almost impossible. It's like hitting a bullet with a bullet, and this is the problem that the United States has been having as well. Even when they've been firing them themselves, knowing where they're going to go, they're still...
In a quarter of a mile, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Reagan's great idea. The Star Wars idea. But yes, unfortunately, it's much more difficult than he imagined. So what the NATO has been doing is relying...
Exit at junction 3.
The problem with nuclear deterrence is, of course, that it works when everyone behaves rationally. And, you know...
If Boris Johnson...
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
Island on water, and this guy is getting involved with Putin's problems. He's going to Ukraine, he's helping them, he's giving them money, he's giving them food, he's helping them. And Putin's saying, motherfucker, get away from my problem. You know what I mean? This is our problem. It has nothing to do with the UK. If UK wants problem, let me know. You know, I give you your own problem, but don't get involved in my problem. And Boris Johnson is getting involved. Now something very bad. Did you hear what he said? He said he have a ship ready. Putin said, I have a big ship ready. Any day I want, I will send it to the UK. And I put the rocket on, and the rocket will take 10-15 minutes from Russia to here. And you hear what they just said now? There is nothing in the UK that can ever stop this. Only in America maybe they can stop this, but in London, UK, they can't stop this.
Towards defence spending. We'll take your answers to that after the news. Also coming up after the news, delays in the policy to send migrants to Rwanda fools a record level of crossings. You remember last week closed with hope that possibly that scheme was going to work well. It's been
the UK is doing this one. If anyone
it's just Boris Johnson. He just wants to get involved in everything,
like
stuff that doesn't concern him.
If someone come and to do asylum,
yeah,
they are sending to other countries, and they want to settle over there. How could that happen? I don't know.
It's crazy. It's all politics, but you know when it's not your country that's in problem, and it's not your neighboring country.
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
This is a problem between Russia and the country that was part of Russia a few years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the 15th anniversary of her disappearance, Madeleine...
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
Brother, nobody's ready for his weapons. America is ready for his weapons. China is ready for his weapons. Little Great Britain, on the small water in the island, is not ready for nothing.
Closed northbound between junctions 10 at Luton Airport and 11 at Dunstable. It's following an accident that happened around 3 o'clock this morning, and there are long delays from before junction 9 at Red Bull. Southbound is all open but slow from junction 12 at Toddington because of onlookers taking about 45 minutes to get through that queue. Delays continue on the M20 westbound junction 8 at Leeds Castle. That's because the cars
almost
broken down
near by the Heathrow now.
Yeah, I know exactly where we are. Now. You're in Cranford Lane now.
Chiswick Town and Green Terrace is closed southbound where a bus has broken down. On the underground, Redbridge and Angel stations are both closed, and there are severe delays on DLR services via Shadwell after a train broke down.
This is LBC.
Hey, it's time to wake up and smell the VAT returns.
What?
From April, making tax digital applies to businesses with a turnover of under 85k. That means you.
Oh.
And paper records ain't going to cut it this time. You have to keep digital records using software like QuickBooks.
But don't worry, we made it easier than ever. Make tax digital with QuickBooks.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Hold on to your mugs. EE's full fiber is here. New broadband that can handle anything. And whatever you think that means, times it by a zillion and dip it in chocolate. Because this broadband connects 100 devices in your home. Search EE Full Fiber.
18.3% UK availability. Check coverage at EE.
In a quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit and stay on the Parkway, A312.
Broadband nightmares. Get BT's unbreakable hybrid broadband backed up by EE, the UK's best network. Search BT Hybrid Broadband. 88% UK availability. best for mobile network performance. Verify at ee.co.uk/claims.
Say hello to leasing. Say hello to Auto Lease Compare, the car leasing comparison site that lets you compare the best leasing deals on the market from the UK's most trusted leasing providers. Auto Lease Compare will get you into a brand new car for less. You pick the car, we find the deal, inclusive of warranty, road tax and free delivery. Say hello to leasing. Say hello to Auto Lease Compare.
Exit the roundabout onto the parkway. Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
It's 20 minutes past 7. If you want to set your clock, you watch all your mobile phone. We'll come to your reactions on our conversation about, well, many elements, really. The idea of a nuclear strike, the idea of a tidal wave, the idea of more spending, and this ridiculous suggestion from Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister for Russia, that in fact Jewish people are the most anti-Semitic. Shall I take you through the front pages of the newspapers?